Those Days with the Monsters, Part 45. The derelict station had been quiet for some time, but the moment a rattling clang sounded from the docking bay, the remaining Cumans proved that they could have been much more obvious. The area around the docking bay came alive with shouts. The Carrie Fisher was back. Kirrel felt his heart beating fast. He hadn't heard any updates since the ship left. Was Sleepy safe? What about Alex? The first person off the ship was the captain, who bared his teeth and raised one clenched fist in the air. Kirrel didn't understand the gesture, but the Cumans he'd been left behind with roared. He assumed it was good. "Nice job, Cap," Smee shouted. The captain shrugged and pointed his thumb over his shoulder. Behind him, Kirrel could see Doc and Alex. "They did most of it. I just directed." "Shut up, Cap. Fake humility looks bad on you." Alex hit the captain's shoulder gently. Kirrel realized that it was almost not a hit at all. He knew, or thought he knew, how hard she could actually hit. She was holding back so much power to just give a gentle tap. "I'm serious. It mostly wasn't me." Kirrel leaned forward, looking for the rest of the crew. A lot of them came out, but Dopey was lingering in the doorway, probably talking to Bashful. Sleepy was nowhere to be found.
Captain, is Sleepy hurt?"
He blurted out, heart pounding. Kirrel wanted him to be safe so badly. He's not injured." That seemed like an oddly careful statement. Was there emphasis on the word injured? Why would the captain say it like that?
Where is he? I missed him."
The captain shook his head slowly. "Looks squishy, I don't think." Kirrel's frills flared abruptly to full, suddenly bright orange with anger. The captain jumped as if startled, then bared his teeth and raised his hand slightly. Okay. He's probably in his quarters." Kirrel had already started up the ramp to the ship when the captain called him. "Squishy? Don't startle him. I don't know if he's in a good place." That didn't sound like Sleepy was fine. Kirrel found himself speeding up, pushing past Dopey, who stood talking with Bashful's hologram. He needed to make sure. He didn't want to think the captain was lying to him, but he needed to know for sure. People lied, and sometimes those lies were vicious. He hoped the captain hadn't. He wanted to be able to trust the Cumans. Near Sleepy's cabin, a quiet and steady rumbling sound filled the air. Kirrel wasn't sure what it was. It didn't sound like Captain Amelia's rumble, and she wouldn't be on the ship right now either. Or would she? Cautiously, he peeked through the door. Sleepy sat at the foot of the bed, his hands clenched together, looking almost folded over on himself. One foot bounced furiously up and down, creating a quiet rumble against the floor as the surface faintly flexed and rebounded. Kirrel was reasonably sure the floor wasn't meant to do that. How much pressure was Sleepy putting on it to make the floor bend, even as little as it was?
"Hello?"
Sleepy leapt up as if ready to fight something. He took a deep breath, closing his eyes. "Spaceman, what are you doing here?"
"The captain said you weren't hurt, but I didn't see you."
Kirrel fidgeted slightly.
"I wanted to be sure."
"Well, no, they didn't hurt me." Sleepy let out a sound that was a little like the Cuman amusement noise, but a lot less warm and happy. I'm not sure they could." Kirrel wanted to ask why, but he felt like that might not be the best answer. Instead, he crept a bit closer, frills fuchsia and blue, and asked,
"Then what's wrong?"
"I don't." Sleepy looked away. After a moment, he sighed heavily. "It's not exactly something I like talking about."
"Should I not have asked?"
Sleepy hesitated for a moment, then looked down at his hands, still clenched. "Well, I don't exactly know. Maybe it'd be better to tell you, maybe not." For a moment he seemed to stop entirely. Kirrel couldn't tell if he was even breathing. Kirrel was beginning to be worried when Sleepy took a deep, abrupt breath and sat back down. "It's just, I told you about Centaura. I did some bad things. I didn't. I didn't know they'd be that bad. They said it was just a delivery system test, and I believed him like a dumbass. Like an idiot. That's not the problem. The problem is what I did after that.
What did you do?
Kirrel's frills flared. Not curious fuchsia, but sad blue. It was bothering Sleepy so much, so it must have been bad. Went back, saw the damage. I know there wasn't much I could have done after dropping the damn thing off, but I tried. It's not the trouble either. It's just, this time was way too close to what I did after that.
I don't know what that means. I don't even know what you did.
Dopey found out there's a lot of infighting. Lots of trying to steal each other's ranks and glory, you know? So, we took out some of the cooler heads among them and let him fight. His hands dropped into his lap. Kirrel wondered if he was going to just fold up like the fray could. It certainly looked like it. He decided it was not the time to ask what cooler heads meant. It's just taking a small number and breaking into a big ship, taking out only a couple people. I did that. I did a lot of that. Close to the same knives, the same moves. Sleepy sighed deeply. You know, Spaceman, I think the only saving grace with their blood is that green-yellow stuff. If it was red, I don't know what would have happened. That's what it was like when I went what FG calls war mad. Kept it to the guys in charge, or who made the damn machine I dropped off. But I could have easily not kept it to him anymore. Sleepy shook his head slowly. Look, Spaceman, sometimes my control gets weak, and I mean real weak. Things get hazy, especially when it's humans I'm fighting. I keep trying to go back to that time when guys who wanted to escalate the war got what was coming to them. Things just keep trying to go back to the haze. His voice sank to a whisper that Kirrel had to strain to understand. It was real bad this time. I don't know if it was the way the ship was, or doing stealth work with a knife again, or what, but it was real bad. You should have gone to FG, Spaceman, you really should have.
Why? You wouldn't hurt me.
Sleepy leapt up again. Kirrel's frills flared red, startled. You don't know that, Spaceman. None of us know that. I don't know that. Everyone here acts like I'm not a ticking time bomb, but that doesn't change it. He groaned, rubbing his face with his hands again. Jiminy says it's just part of the PTSD, but I know what I've done. Kirrel paused for a minute, then he sighed, his frills turning a full yellow.
I don't know everything about humans, but aren't all of you dangerous? I don't think anyone had a problem fighting Tizzix the first time, and they're really strong. Doesn't that mean you're all able to be dangerous?
Sleepy made an impatient motion, but he didn't reply. Kirrel wasn't sure if that was good or bad. He found himself babbling nervously.
And besides, if you know you can be dangerous and you're trying not to be, isn't that safer than if you didn't know? Like how Doc watches every time I eat new cumin food now. Isn't that automatically safer than if it was the same and you didn't know?
Sleepy paused for a minute. You know, Spaceman, I think it isn't like that, but I can't exactly figure out why. You sure know how to ask questions. Kirrel wasn't sure if that was a good thing or not, but he didn't want to ask right now. It didn't seem like a good time. Well, at least you gave me a lot to think about. Thanks, Spaceman. Kirrel thought for a moment. He hadn't planned to give Sleepy things to think about. The problem just didn't make sense to him. But maybe it had gone well?
Just please don't get hurt, Sleepy. I missed you.
Sleepy's mouth curved, baring just a few teeth. Missed you too, Spaceman. More'n you know. Thank you for listening to Those Days with the Monsters. Read by me, a good bean.